Hello, friends, and welcome to the Happy Half Hour. It's a little less happy today because It's a weird week in the NFL. Players are getting cut. They're reducing the roster from 90 to 53 players. That's always a weird week around this building. When you see guys coming and going and you kind of know what's happened to them, it's always awkward. It's always tough, but it's one of those natural steps in the evolution of a football team. So we will get to the news of the cuts in just a moment. But first, welcome to the Happy Half Hour. This is our regular non-training camp special edition of the Happy Half Hour. We will join you here every Monday and Thursday from here through the end of the regular season. I guess except for the week there on Monday Night Football and stuff like that, in which case we're not going to know what day it is anyway.
We'll play it by ear.
We'll play it by ear. But
you know what's funny? I just thought about the week they play Monday Night Football is also Thanksgiving week, and Thanksgiving falls on a Thursday. So that week's going to be interesting no matter what.
We may just take the week off. You never know. Or we may do Tuesday and Wednesday. Who can really know? We're kind of winging it here on the Happy Half Hour. But we will get to the news of the cuts in just a little bit. I know everybody wants to dig into that and go through what it means. We just got that list moments ago of the 18 moves made today, 19 more to go tomorrow to get to the 53. But I feel compelled because I am big into meaning. I want to tell people what all these individual transactions mean rather than just the transactions themselves. It's part of the reason I'm staying away from social media as much as I can because I think contextless transaction is pretty worthless. But the Carolina Panthers did something last week that has a lot of worth. You thought podcast with Taylor was a one-time thing, but this man's back, ladies and gentlemen. Taylor Moton will be in the building through the 2027 season now. 2-year contract extension for one of their better players. And the big news about this is the fact that you've now got 80% of a really good offensive line under contract for at least the next 34 regular season games.
Can you imagine? I can't imagine anybody in the building was happier than Bryce Young when this news came around.
I mean, first of all, we should all be happy because having Taylor Moton in the building makes the building a better place.
Yes.
But, yes, your point is valid.
Yeah, Taylor Moton is such a light. It's rare that you can say that about people and it be just 100% true. It's usually somewhat facetious or relative to circumstances. Taylor Moton is just always a light, and that's somebody you want around. But like you said, 80% of that line under contract for the next 2 years, that's something you can grow behind. And as they continue to let Bryce grow and kind of come into himself, and that's not to say it won't all get taken care of, but, having at least those 4 guys, knowing that they're going to be in front of you for the next couple of years, you can get comfortable, you can establish chemistry, you can establish kind of unspoken things on the field. That is huge for the development of a young quarterback.
Right. And you are right when you say Taylor Moton is a light. Taylor Moton
I love being told I'm right.
He is, it's one of my favorite things too. All those things are true. Timo is like, as J.J. Jansen said last year, he's got big dad energy.
Yeah.
Timo is the dad of that locker room. If somebody litters on the practice field, like throws a water bottle down next to the trash bag, he'll be like, hey, pick that up. What are you doing? Come on, keep our space neat. He'll tell guys to keep the locker room clean. He's always very respectful. I mean, when Timo got emotional early in camp, it was the first time a lot of people saw that, but he gets like that a lot. I mean, he is a guy who has always valued the staff around him. I mean, when Dean, one of the former athletic training interns, was here last year, was kind of like his personal guy. When Dean left, Timo got a little choked up. I mean, because these people mean so much to him, and I think you see it on his face when he talks about what it means to be a Carolina Panther, what it means to be a Charlottean, which he has now become, and you love to see the team building around people when it matters that much to them.
And they've done this a few different times now in the past calendar year. Did it with Chuba Hubbard, with Derek Brown, with J.C. Horn, and now with Taylor Moton. That's, there's a lot of things that GMs can say. We want to build a foundation. We want to establish a culture, da-da-da-da-da. But you've seen Dan Morgan put that into action over the past calendar years and identifying who their long-term pieces are and making sure that stays the case.
And those 4 cats you just mentioned they are probably 4, if I had to think off the top of my head, of the hardest working cats in the building, they are in the top 5, 6,
Right.
7. I mean, they are the guys, and that's who you want to pay your money to. That's who you want to young players to see. I've used the example a number of times before. When Xavier Legette drops a pass and tries to figure out what he wants to do, what he decided to do was go do what Chuba Hubbard did.
Right.
And what Chuba Hubbard did when he was trying to get better at catching passes was catch a lot more passes out of a jugs machine. So when your guys, when those leaders who you can point to and say, you want to get better at your job, go be like him, right there is one of them. This man right here, Taylor Moton. And we got to get an actual Taylor head on a stick to go with our other
That is
set.
not life size.
This is not life size, and I'm glad my Derek Brown head on a stick's not in here because it's like
It would take up all
double
the
this
space.
size, and that wouldn't be fair to Taylor. But, yeah, good news that Taylor Moton is, in fact, going to be here for the next couple of years, and it's just good for everybody.
And when you kind of looking at the logistical side of it again, real quick, when you have locked up 80% of your starting offensive line for the next two seasons, 2, 3 seasons, something like that, that allows you to then put your attention, because most coaches will tell you, you build a team through the trenches. Okay, they have taken care of the offensive line. They've put a huge push towards taking care of the defensive line this past few months. Now you can start to turn your attention to some of these other places on the team that might need it. That, now that you've taken care of your two pillars, where can you kind of spend your money, spend your time, spend your space? And,
And
now's where it gets fun.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just a problem you don't have to work with. I mean, truly, you know what the offensive line's going to look like. You largely know what the offensive room's going to look like because the receivers are young, with the exception of Adam Thielen, with the exception of Hunter Renfrow, and we'll get to that position in a minute. You are going to see a lot of stability in that group because Teteroa McMillan, Xavier Legette, Chuba Hubbard, these dudes are all going to be around for a minute, and alongside Bryce Young. So they've got that opportunity to build, and when they're trying to put together a defense and they're trying to put a lot of moving parts together at the same time, they need that stability on the other side of the ball to allow all the other stuff to grow. And if you can grow that side of the ball, you like, when you see the progress they made last year, you like going into it that way. But I think the other thing about Timo, I mean, we get caught up in the intangibles because he is a great guy. He does get emotional about this place. He is the staff dad, but he's also really good at football.
Yeah.
I did a little inside the numbers, which is not really my deal always. But last year in Pro Football Focus's grades, he was ranked 19th overall out of 140 tackles.
That's impressive.
I pulled back the lens a little bit to look at since 2018. There are only 13 tackles in the game of football with better pass protection grades than Taylor Moton since 2018 when he entered the starting lineup and never really left except for 3 games last year. And he's taken the second most pass pro reps out of any of those guys, which tells you a couple of things. A, he's durable, and B, he's played for teams that's behind a lot and had to pass. So he's not been in ideal situations. He hasn't been into the playoffs. I mean, he and J.J. Jansen are the last 2 guys left from the 2017 playoff team who knows what that's about, who've been to the playoffs as Panthers. There's a number of other dudes walking around this place with Super Bowl rings, but they're the last 2 who remember the playoffs with this team. So I just think it made all the sense in the world to get this one clear, and so you didn't have to worry about it going into the season and worry about Taylor getting emotional every time he talked, which is pretty often.
Yeah. That was a sweet moment, though, just to realize how much it meant to him.
Yeah.
And how much it meant to him to stay here.
No doubt. No doubt. All right, so the news of the day, obviously, earlier Monday afternoon, Carolina Panthers announced their cuts. I am going to pull that up on my screen because I'm not smart enough. I'm not smart enough to remember all 19 names at once. Or 18 names at once. The very first thing, one of the headlines is the one vested veteran who was released today was kicker Matthew Wright. So congratulations to F. Scott Ryan Fitzgerald, who is now the only kicker left on this roster. And I say F. Scott Ryan Fitzgerald on purpose because I'm trying not to call him Ryan Fitzpatrick. And I'm working really hard on that, which Kassidy knows very well.
Like, he's not even joking. He has legitimately called him that he's called him Ryan Fitzpatrick multiple times since Thursday.
And I'm looking at Cass in the press box going, it's Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? No, you idiot. It's not Ryan Fitzpatrick.
You know, like when you convince yourself, like when you're trying so hard to remember something and then you remember it correctly, but you convince yourself you remembered it wrong because you had been. That was Darin trying to remember this guy's last name.
It's a mess.
No disrespect to Ryan Fitzgerald. It's really more so just shows the impact of Ryan Fitzpatrick.
No doubt. And Ryan Fitzgerald's the only kicker on the roster at the moment. Doesn't necessarily mean he's the only kicker they're carrying down to Jacksonville in a week and a half. I mean, Dave Canales practically said it out loud on Friday. We're going to look at everybody. We're going to look at everybody that gets cut. We're going to look at everybody that's out on the street. We're going to look at all the options to see. I mean, so I think that's one of the cruel realities of this kind of time. And even when you get to the 53-man roster tomorrow at 4 o'clock, there are going to be dudes who think they've made a team only to find out tomorrow when their team claims somebody off waivers that they don't have a spot anymore. So there's a lot of moving parts. But for right now, Ryan Fitzgerald did enough to make himself the only kicker on the roster at the moment. And we'll see what that means. The kid had a good summer. And, I mean, at Florida State, he had a big leg. He made all the kicks in games here and got steadily better on kickoffs, which is a big part of that job.
Hi, DL.
And that's right.
The best part was that he remembered before we started.
That's right. That deserves another Taylor Moton saying, come on, DL, tighten it up over there. Don't make a mess in our studio.
He was crouching down before we started just to be safe and then walked right.
Oh, my.
Anyways, to your point about Ryan Fitzgerald, that's why it's called the initial 53-man roster.
Yeah.
Always add the initial on there.
Yeah, never say final cuts because they're far from final, and it's heartbreaking for the guys who thought they got there and didn't. Guys like Jalen Coker last year. Yeah. Jalen Coker was on the 53, and then the next day when they claimed 6 dudes off waivers, he was not.
Yeah.
Now, he came back and has made good for himself, so all that worked out well for Jalen, but that's just an example of what this week is like. It's like a whiplash for some of these dudes. All right, let's run down the rest of the list. And I kind of organize these by position because that's the way my brain works. Quarterbacks, Jack Plummer and Bryce Perkins. Bryce Old wasn't with us for very long. He was here for last week's game, did a good job of finishing up in a really unfortunate situation, but you know, for now, they've waived both quarterbacks. That leaves just Bryce Young and Andy on the roster, the 2 guys they expect to carry into the season. We'll see what happens when it comes time to find a quarterback for the practice squad, or maybe they like somebody that gets claimed, or like somebody enough to claim them off, keep them on the 53. I don't know. That's not the way they've done it, but we'll see what happens over the coming days. Once you get past the quarterbacks, running backs, Amani Bailey, K'Ron Lynch-Adams, were waived today along with wide receivers Kobe Hudson, Jacoby George, TJ Luther, tight end Dominique Daphne, offensive lineman Stephen Lasoya and Luke Kandra, a couple of undrafted rookies who were here in camp, outside linebacker J.J. Weaver from Kentucky, linebacker Jacoby Windman, who was here last year, was claimed off the signed off the Pittsburgh practice squad and ended up playing some football here last year. Windman was part of today's waivers along with cornerbacks Travis Broughton, Mello Dotson, Trey Swilling, and undrafted rookie safeties Jack Henderson and Isaac Gifford. That is an 18 total name list today. If you want to see the list in written form, Panthers.com's got all that for you, and you can get caught up on that. But obviously, it leaves a lot of questions about what's coming tomorrow. They've got to make 19 more moves. There has been a lot of speculation about potential moves and what it might be, including that one wide receiver that we referenced earlier. Adam Thielen is going to be on this roster until Adam Thielen is not on the roster.
Have there been rumors about him?
Yeah, maybe you heard about it. Last Friday.
No, I've been living under a rock.
Yeah, last Friday morning, I believe it was, when the reports hit national publication saying that the Vikings had called to see if Adam was available. And so far, Adam has not been made available to the Vikings or anybody else. And there's a reason for that. The Carolina Panthers value having Adam Thielen around. He's a guy caught 103 balls a year ago, caught 48 last year in 10 games, but that's pace for over 80, which kind of shows you how he is viewed within that offense and who Bryce Young trusts. So I think the Carolina Panthers, and you'll hear Dan Morgan say this a lot, we're going to listen to everything. We're going to consider every alternative, and if the Vikings say, we'll give you 2 first-round picks for Adam Thielen, well, guess what? They're going to trade Adam Thielen for 2 first-round picks. But I think there's a lot of middle ground in there. Nuances lost in Twitter. But the point is, for right now, Adam Thielen's on this roster because they value him. And they want him to be on this roster. So until somebody knocks their socks off, I think he's going to remain here.
Like you said, it's a disservice to not answer the phone. It's a disservice to your team to not answer the phone and at least listen. But Dan Morgan's in a good spot where he has all the leverage. You know, if the reports are to be believed, and every part of them are to be believed, he has something that the Vikings won't, that he doesn't necessarily want to give up. That puts him in a good spot. And let's keep in mind, too, Adam Thielen spent a lot of his career with the Minnesota Vikings. He grew up there. He still has a home there. That is where he spends the offseason.
Where he's going to live when he's
where
finished
he's going to
playing.
live. He has a lot of ties to Minnesota and to the Vikings, understandably. I mean, he came on as a tryout player as a rookie and made the team. So, I mean, a lot of ties there. When Adam Thielen was considering retirement this offseason, what made him decide to come back? I mean, you talked to him. So I know you remember.
It was wanting to be back. It was wanting to be a part of this offense.
And
it was
play
wanting
with
to
Bryce again.
help Bryce Young continue to grow as a quarterback.
So even though a player doesn't necessarily get to decide in a trade, that's up to the clubs. I'm sure that, you know, Adam Thielen's been around long enough that there's something, you listen to him, you take his temperature on it. And I don't know what Adam Thielen is saying. I haven't asked him. He hasn't shared it. But I do know that he sat there in February and told you, like, I wanted to come back and play with Bryce for another year. And so I don't think he's sitting at home pouting about not going through anything
He
either.
definitely is not. And it was so funny because Friday, when all this hit the national news, they were in the building working. I mean, it's day after a game. They're doing their normal thing. Players usually come in and get a workout in. And he's out there running around at the head of the line with all the receivers and DBs doing their conditioning work the day after just to get the legs moving. And then he's standing around drinking coffee.
Yeah, as he does.
And if you know Adam Thielen, if you're ever looking for him in this building, go find a coffee machine and just look around in like a 12-foot radius.
Yeah.
He's going to be close to one at all times. You know, Adam will sit there and look at you and like, if you couldn't drink coffee, what's even the point? Why would you? Are you really enjoying life if you're not having a cup of coffee? And Adam was just standing around, drinking coffee, telling stories, being Adam Thielen, and everybody kept looking at him like, oh, God, this is awkward. Is this supposed to be awkward? Should we make eye contact? Should we avoid him? But Adam was just being Adam.
Yeah.
And it's kind of neat to see a guy, when you're in the NFL as long as he has been, you learn that this is a business. You learn that a lot of this stuff is out of your control. Because, again, Adam can want to be here and playing with Bryce, but if Dan gets an offer that he thinks
refuse.
is good for the organization, then guess what? You know, Adam might be someplace else. So he understands it's part of the business, so he's going to enjoy his friends, and he's going to enjoy this cup of coffee, and he's just going to enjoy being Adam Thielen as a Carolina Panther for another day. But with today's moves, we mentioned the rookies, or technically not a rookie. TJ Luther's been around in the league. He was a one, but Jacoby George, Kobe Hudson were let go today. That leaves the Panthers with 9 receivers. 9? How many is that, Darin? I've been counting for how many years now?
One less than 10.
Yeah, one less than 10. 9 receivers left on the roster. You know most of the names. And that's going to be one that's an object of fascination to a lot of people. And I think it's very much to be determined what the final roster is going to look like. Dan Morgan sat on the broadcast with Anish Shroff and the boys the other night and said, listen, you know, sometimes you keep 5, sometimes you keep 6. We might have to keep 7.
Right.
And I became convinced of this midway through training camp. I'm starting to think Bryson Tremaine's going to be one of them 7, if it's 7, or 6 if they keep 6. Because not only did he make big catches in camp, but he is one of the few guys in that group who is a proven special teams player. Right. I mean, if they had to punt against the Jaguars right now, he's probably the best gunner on the roster.
He's
and
fast, too.
That's an underrated skill, and it's one of those values that Dave Canales talked about when they picked this roster is going to be important for those last couple guys. I mean, listen, we know XL and Teteroa McMillan are going to be on this roster, all right? And if Adam Thielen's still a Carolina Panther,
and then he's going to be on
this roster. And then when you start talking about the David Moores, the Hunter Renfros, the Jalen Cokers, Jimmy Horn Jr., Bryson Tremaine, Jasim Reed still on the roster at this moment, you know, you start looking at those guys and you say, who can help out in more than one way? And Bryson Tremaine's one of those guys. So it'll be interesting to see. Tune in to Panthers.com tomorrow for all the latest on all the roster news and breakdowns and everything like that. We'll bring you the news, and then we'll tell you what it means, because that's what we try to do here. But
we're extrapolators.
And also extrapolators.
Oh.
That's all right. I haven't called you homeschool in a couple weeks.
Wait, what did I say?
You stuck a U in there somewhere. That's just the Alabama. Taylor Moton says there's no U in extrapolate. All right.
Don't ask me to spell it.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I trust you implicitly to spell that word correctly. But anyway, a lot coming your way. Again, 19 more moves to make tomorrow to get to the 53-man roster limit. Obviously, there's going to be stuff happening after that. So stay tuned to us throughout the week. Panthers.com for all the latest news.
On Wednesday.
Practice squad on Wednesday. We'll have it for you by the time we get to Thursday, when we bring you this happy half hour again, leading into a long weekend off. There should be some stability around this thing. So we look forward to stability. We look forward to seeing you Thursday at our regular time here on the Happy Half Hour.